Hey, it's your old pal Lucid Stu again, and this is Stu's News, a review of American high-speed rail happenings over the last month. In this December 2025 episode, we'll take a look at what went down in November. Starting off with Acela, the NEC, and the biggest news of the month, Amtrak once again broke ridership records as its 2025 fiscal year wrapped up at the end of September. That counts for both the NEC, where Amtrak facilitated 15 million trips, and nationwide, where Amtrak as a whole went over 34 annual million trips for the first time. Let's take a closer look at the NEC numbers. Acela was the star of the show month over month in the first full month where the new Acela 2 train sets were in service. Keep in mind these reports run 2 months behind, and Amtrak was late releasing the data last month, so this data is for September. Unfortunately, Amtrak is late again with the October data. Acela revenue was up 26% and operating earnings were up a whopping 89%. Northeast Regional Service was down compared to August in both revenue and earnings, which led to slight gains in both revenue and earnings for Amtrak overall on the NEC. Basically the same story year over year with some minor variation. The last couple of years, Amtrak has been up strongly year over year, but September of 2025 was only up marginally, so is this signaling the start of a slowdown in Amtrak's growth? The media doesn't seem to think so. We'll find out in the coming months as the numbers trickle in. Speaking of Amtrak, there's some new drama in the fight between them and the New York MTA over the Penn Station Access project. This is a project by MTA to build 5 new stations in the Bronx along the NEC and utilize it to provide MTA Metro North service to New York Penn Station, which is owned by Amtrak. In response to MTA plans to offer early service to New York Penn by 2027 due to delays caused by Amtrak, Amtrak has stated that Metro North trains could only get early access if MTA cuts trains into New York Penn from its Long Island Railroad lines before Amtrak's work on the East River tunnels is completed, which is planned for 2027 at the earliest. MTA responded to the news by calling reduction of LIRR trains a non-starter. As of now, MTA has delayed full implementation of Penn Station access to 2030, and the squabbling continues. On the other side of the Hudson in New Jersey, it's being reported that connecting tracks on the nearly ready Portal North Bridge could impact rail traffic for as much as 6 weeks. So get ready for some fun around March if you commute through the area. That's about when the first track on the new bridge will become operational, with the overall project expected to be completed sometime in 2027. The Gateway program was a little less quiet this month as Congress managed to get the government running again. Posted on X, Hudson Tunnel's project progress was shown on the New Jersey side of the river, where they are preparing to dig an access shaft to facilitate boring under the river. The Gateway program also posted a short video of noise barrier installation there. This tweet is a good shot that shows 3 different aspects of the tunnel project using 3 different construction approaches to bring those tunnels ashore in Manhattan. Hopefully they'll get back to the more progress-oriented tweets they were making in the months preceding the shutdown, so we can keep an eye on when those things will get done. Amtrak Cascade sets have now been spotted by innumerable railfan accounts on the NEC. This is a sampling of them. This allows us to roll directly into the Washington State Department of Transportation predicting that 8 such sets will be operational in Amtrak Cascade service between Eugene, Oregon and Vancouver, British Columbia by the end of next year, 2026, without dipping our toe in the refreshing waters of Cascadia High-Speed Rail. That'll do it for Acela and the NEC. While we're on the East Coast, let's check in with Brightline in Florida. Another development in the ongoing legal battle between Brightline and Florida East Coast Railway. A judge has ordered a temporary stay on the lawsuit in an attempt to move the parties toward arbitration. This is a development that favors Brightline. They prefer the matter be settled in arbitration. FECR, who brought the suit, is complaining about Brightline's efforts to bring additional traffic from various regional commuter agencies into FECR's right-of-way via Brightline's trackage rights. This would help Brightline generate badly needed revenue. FECR argues that Brightline has no ability to upgrade the right-of-way to accommodate the new traffic. Speaking of Brightline's precarious financial situation, let's take a look at their monthly numbers. Brightline completed their transition to new scheduling, running more trains in Southeast Florida and longer trains to Orlando. As a result, they ran 12 more trains in October 2025 than October of 2024. This helped increase ridership by 20% year over year. That's one of the better results this year, but still about half the increase they're looking for. Looking at ridership for the year as of October 31st, they're only up by 290,000 trips over last year. It looks like there'll be over 3 million trips this year. However, when Brightline downgraded ridership projections last year, they were expecting 6.7 million trips this year, so they're underperforming by a lot. That's it for Brightline in Florida, but let's stick with the organization and see what's happening out west with Brightline West. I made a 2026 update video on my recent trip out to Las Vegas. Go check it out. The TLDR there is that they're continuing to work on the Las Vegas station site, including construction of a 5-story parking structure. In Sloan, they're putting up some fencing, which should denote the beginning of the construction process for the vehicle maintenance and operations facility there. As far as Brightline West Rocky finances go, they've managed an agreement with investors to swap their $2.5 billion bond offering from March into new securities. That bond was threatening to hit a penalty date on whole project financing that would have had potentially dire consequences for the project. The major funding question mark is now the $6 billion railroad rehabilitation and improvement financing loan from the federal government that Brightline West is seeking. In the documents for the bond debt swap deal, the company indicated they hope to secure that loan in the first quarter of next year, 2026. Full funding will allow them to build in the Interstate 15 median in Nevada, which is vital to the overall progress of the project. Oh, also, those bond deal documents report the cost of the project at $21.05 billion, not $21.5 billion. Apparently, $21.5 billion was a typo on the RRIF spreadsheet that was the origin of that information. That's it for Brightline West. Let's stay in the area and see what's up with California High-Speed Rail. The federal government has moved to dismiss a lawsuit by the state of California over the Trump administration's withdrawal of $4 billion in grants, arguing that the state filed the suit in the wrong court. The judge for the case will consider the motion, but it seems to boil down to stalling tactics by the Trump administration. There were a few developments at the latest California High-Speed Rail board meeting. They approved a request for proposal for a track and overhead contact systems contract worth $3.5 billion that would cover work from Merced to Bakersfield in phases. Buried in the discussion about that was a hard deadline on start of track laying, which is December 15th, 2026. Previously, CEO Ian Chowdhury said that would occur in Q2 of 2026, and that was later walked back at a board meeting to the third quarter. Now it's apparently Q4. Also at the meeting, approval of a request for qualification for a co-development partner, whose initial purpose would be assisting the authority in figuring out how to get private entities to invest in the project. We'll get into that more when they have something concrete to talk about. Let's look at some Central Valley numbers. Capital outlay budget summary lackluster for the millionth time. I don't understand what they're doing. Expenditure year to date isn't even what it was last year. To get this project done in any reasonable amount of time, they need to be spending something like $500 million a month. They're doing a quarter of that. Average daily on-site workers is down. Expect that to get worse going into the off-season, and it's also been rainy lately. Structures, they've pushed a couple back to 2026 that were supposed to be started by September. Guideway, they're a tiny bit behind, but pretty close. CP1 earned value chart, no improvement in pace, still at 0.93. Schedule performance index, one there indicates on schedule. Right now they're tracking to be officially behind schedule by March 2026. The CP4 railhead they still have down for completion last month. Keep in mind all of these reports run 2 months behind, and this one is for September. I haven't seen anything from California High-Speed Rail to indicate that this actually is done, so we'll have to wait till next month to find out, I guess. On November 20th, the California High-Speed Rail Office of Inspector General released its review of the authority's 2025 Supplemental Project Update Report, which came out in August. Overall, the OIG's response was positive. The main criticism focuses on timing of funding and the possibility that it may cause delays and overages. We'll have to see how that plays out, but elements like CP1, the CP4 railhead, and track laying dragging along don't exactly bode well. As explained in my analysis of the supplemental report, their margin for error on Merced to Bakersfield is still pretty thin, even with the $15 billion in new funding they just got from the state legislature, assuming that $4 billion being held up by the Trump administration stays held up. That's it for California High-Speed Rail. Let's make one last stop in Texas. The North Central Texas Council of Governments Transportation Council voted to forward 2 initiatives related to federal corridor ID processes for high-speed rail from Fort Worth to Houston via Dallas. This despite the fact that leaders in Dallas are dragging their feet on approving a favored path through the city. That looks like it will wait till next year, while Dallas spent the entirety of 2025 twiddling their thumbs on the issue. That'll do it for Texas. Now it's time for Stu's Boo-Boos, where I go over everything I missed or got wrong last month. What's this? No boo-boos. That leaves your gold star spotted boo-boos total at 25. Silver stars for a boo-boo free month, ticking up to a big 10. As always, if you find a boo-boo in this presentation or something I missed, let me know in the comments. If it's a good one, you win a prize. Here's a special thanks to the Stu Crew Discord channel for all of their help. If you'd like to join our motley crew, check out the invite in the description. Also, check out that super thanks button below the video, or my poster store if you'd like to support the channel. Nifty railroad posters are 30% off through the end of the year. And make sure to leave 10 days for shipping and processing if buying as a gift. But that's all for now. Until next time, I'll see you on that big, beautiful freeway.